What if your sales CRM could run your entire sales operation even while you sleep? I'm talking about a system that automatically enriches leads, analyzes calls, and updates, all without touching a single button. This is how companies are scaling to multi-million dollar revenues with a team of 10 instead of a team of 50. And in this video, I'm going to cover what is a self-managing CRM, what are the different kinds of self-managing CRM, and what is the framework to design one for yourself. With that said, let's get started. There are three different kinds of CRM right now, if you think about it. There's a manual CRM, and a manual CRM is basically where every single operation is performed by a human that is working within the CRM. So imagine the salesperson going within there, changing the fields, adding notes, and so on. There's an automated CRM where there are specific rule-based automation. So move the deal after a fourth submission, set up a standardized email and things like that. And finally, there's this new kind of CRM right now where all the different actions, so all actions such as having the calls logged, moving the deals forward, creating personalized emails, all is done directly within the CRM without a human having to touch everything at all. The real advantages of having this kind of CRM is the fact that a self-managing CRM frees the salesperson from any kind of manual updates that they need to do because everything is done automatically for them. And the only thing that they might need to do is pushing a couple buttons. This means that they can just take the calls and close the deals. No other thing. So this actually means they can close more deals, they can take more calls, they can generate more pipeline, and you as a business owner can delay an extra hire because you have free up their time of the salespeople to actually do more calls. So if you think about that in terms of what are the actual benefits in the business, if you have a product that is like a 5K lifetime value and a close rate of 20%, if you don't have a sales managing CRM, it's likely that a salesperson could do 10 calls per day. Meanwhile, with a CRM like that, he has 30% more availability, so they can do 13 calls. This actually means 3 more deals closed per week, and this could actually mean 15K more pipeline per week. There are two different approaches when thinking about building a self-managing CRM. There's a bolt-on approach and there's an AI-native approach. The bolt-on approach means essentially adding AI features on top of your existing CRM. So think about adding some specific AI features to Salesforce, to HubSpot, and I will show you an example later on about that. The other approach instead is rebuilding a CRM integrated AI native feature from scratch. And I will also show you what is an example of that. Now, let's see what are the pros and cons for each one of them. So now let's look at the pros and cons of each of these different approaches. For the bolt-on, the real biggest advantage over here is the fact that you can implement AI features relatively quickly. I'm talking about 2 to 3 weeks timeline over here. And also, there's no big disruption in how the team is functioning because they just use their specific CRM that they are used to. And so, if you are running some kind of big team, it makes sense to focus on today as the initial approach to actually get some quick wins. However, the problem over here is that the context is not properly unified. And I will get more in depth with an example in a couple seconds. The other approach instead has an advantage that the context is unified across the whole business. So you can take the knowledge that you have on a specific call and apply that to all the other calls within the business. And that knowledge actually compounds on you, like the knowledge of a single person when they are doing a sales job compounds. You remove the vendor lock-in, so you remove the cost of subscription of a tool like Salesforce. And the reason for that is that the cost of building right now is going to zero. This means that in the past, it was really, really difficult to build something like an HubSpot or Salesforce. Meanwhile, right now, you can build something fairly similar to those kind of products, not with every kind of bell and whistle, but only with the thing that is useful for you. And this is what actually AI enable you to do. On the flip side, the disadvantages over here are that if you transition your whole team to a new system, they will need a little bit of time to adapt on that. as well as it would take a little bit more time to implement a system like that. Now, let me show you what I mean with a couple of examples over here. So, this is a bolt-on CRM feature. Over here, what you're seeing is an N8N workflow that is focused on AI and AI call analysis. So, what we are essentially doing over here is we are recording the sales calls. We are using the AI to analyze the calls and then automatically update the CRM. So, we update Salesforce in this case, and then we create reports. We create reports for the SDR to understand how the call went, what are the specific criteria for the band scoring, what is a specific follow-up message that they could send, as well as reports for the managers so they know what are the key points that they could focus on in the training for the SDR. This is all beautiful, but there are a couple limitations for this. Uh, in this case, in this specific case, reports are generated, but they are not reused later on. And so knowledge does not compound with an automation like that. Meaning that if you, instead of having one single call analyzed, you have 30 calls, in that case, if you add more and more calls to a knowledge base, you are able to understand what are the most typical objections, what are the specific pain points of specific SDRs? What are some problems that people mention in the sales conversation? All different tools all different information or different insights that you can aggregate over time to improve your process, to improve your sales process and actually close more deals. Couple of other things over here that I mentioned about reusing is the fact that you can build truly personalized follow-ups based on, for example, marketing material or based on specific knowledge about your business that is highly relevant to that specific prospect. Or on the other side, you can enable cross-deal pattern recognition. Here on the other side is what a AI native CRM could look like. As you can see over here, what we have is a specific deal, and within that specific deal, we have all sort of information that is auto-generated based on the calls. So over here at the top, we have AI summary, we have key insights, which are could be standard things and maybe also things that might be included in Salesforce and HubSpot. But on top of that, there could be other additional things, such as creating draft follow-up of the email based on the conversation and based on your own specific business. Suggest you marketing materials that are relevant to that specific business. So as you can see over here, that could be a match related to a case study that you already have, and so like that is something that you can send over, as well as how you could run the next meeting agenda. All these different things are things that happen as a result of having all the information in a single place and making sure that you can reuse the information in multiple areas. I think another example over here is knowledge reuse and past success, where what you can have over here is you saw that in the code you had an onboarding objection, and over here you mentioned that this was using 7 similar deal with 85% success rate, and so this is also a kind of cheat code of creating the objection handling playbook and understanding how to improve based on all these different features and all these different things that you can only spot if you been through a lot of calls or if the system is able to get all these calls and extract the insights out of that. So as you can see here, everything seems cool, but what is the actual framework for building something like this and how you can start to think about building something like this? So there are a couple of key components that I mentioned over here, and those are the storage, the collection, the intelligence, the action, and the ease of use. So let's start with the storage part. With the storage, we mean how do you store all the information and what are the specific information that you need to store. Generally, when you are working within a CRM, you need to store contacts, company deals, interactions, but you could also be storing other information that are more relevant about your business, such as, for example, the marketing material, as we mentioned before, or other specific topics that might be relevant, such as, I don't know, for me, it could be the YouTube videos that I could share with a client and have those. So yeah, the tools that could be used for this could be Airtable if you want to build something that is easier to implement, or Supabase if you are looking for a truly scalable solution. After the storage, the other important part is how do you collect the data? So one thing is having the data itself. One thing is how the data is actually collected and what kind of data needs to be collected over here. Ideally, you will need to collect the data such as the emails that are sent, the calls that are made, the meetings that have been held, and any kind of other information. Yeah, the overall point over here is how do you take those insights and add them into the CRM. For this, there are a couple of tools that could be used. The ones that I used in the past are NADN or custom code. With cloud code is also a possibility. The other element over here, and probably what makes the difference, is the intelligence aspect, or how the AI is able to use and collect all this information. So with that, we include a couple of different things. We could include the workflows that summarize the calls, for example, that extract the objections, but also the sites where all this information is sent to a AI knowledge base that can be reused and that improves the knowledge that the whole business has, so that insights could be added and different things such as, for example, this part related to the onboarding objections or like what is the playbook related to that specific business that could be used becomes something available. For that, the tools that could be used over here could be knowledge bases. More specifically, what I suggest is Quadrant, but there are also other tools such as Pinecone or different things like that. After that, what you have is you have the action. So the action is the automation, or how do you make everything run on autopilot. So obviously the AI component is really important, but the automation is really what makes this truly a tool that you can have and it's self-managing. So in this case, what that means would be creating tasks in an automatic way, drafting the personalized emails, updating the record continuously, and then sending notification or sending alerts for specific things. For all that, general the tool that can be used is something like an NADN, but also custom code works in this specific case. The last component over here instead is the ease of use. So as I told you over here and that, as I show you over here, this is an interface that could be created. And the real advantage that we have right now is the fact that this kind of interface could be customized based on your specific needs, based on your specific sales process, and based on your specific business at the end. Maybe you don't need to draft follow-up emails. Maybe you don't need the marketing materials. And so you could design this however you see fit for your specific business. And this is exactly the advantage that some tools such as Airtable or Cloud Code allows you to do. So in this way, you can actually build a system that is the most relevant for you. So that's all on my side. Hope you get a better understanding of the concept of self-sustaining CRM. We will see also more tools in the market about that. But my suggestion on that is making sure that you build something on your own using these specific flows and this specific formatting, so that you are truly free from vendor lock-in and you can customize this as you see fit. With that said, hope this was useful. Hope you got some value out of that. Talk to you soon.